Hello everyone, welcome. Making sure all of our technology works. I feel like that's the beginning words of every single live that I do. All right, welcome everyone. I'm Jenny Ponzuric. Been in this wonderful world of school psychology for over 20 years now. I am the founder of the Prepared School Psych community as well as PSW Monthly, and wanted to chat today about our topic, which is how do we keep up to date? How do we keep up to date with all new stuff that is coming out in our field, right? It's like we finally feel like we know what's going on, we're doing all the stuff, and then something changes. I remember one time I had a newer school psych asked me, how many years until you feel like you really know what's going on in this field? And I was like, I don't know. I've been in here for over 20. There's always something new and exciting going on, right? So when we talk about like new content, like what do I mean? Any new information that's available in our wonderful world, right? Whether it's a change in a regulation at a federal level or some interesting things going on our individual states. All of a sudden there's a new test that everyone's talking about and you're like, where did this come from, right? How do we keep up to date with all of this information? So, have a couple of quick tips for you. Quick tip number one, if you're not already part of a professional organization, I would really highly encourage you to become one. I'm part of a lot of different organizations, some of them at the national level, but any that are at the national level, I usually try and see if there is like a state chapter as well. So for example, one of the topics I love talking about is around learning disabilities. So I'm part of the Learning Disability Association of America, and I'm part of their California chapter, right? Because I work in California and sometimes states just do things a little bit differently, right? Or what's coming up, with some bills related to learning disabilities in my state, right? So that's one way to kind of get to know. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually a past president of my state association. So I think state associations give a lot of wonderful information about what's going on in our state. Right? So being part of some sort of professional organization, I think, is always a great way because there's so many different ways that they're communicating with us, whether it's through newsletters or email blasts or different things like that. Of course, we have to find time to read all that stuff. Now, kind of added to that around professional organizations is trying to find some time, which is hard, to attend conferences. Right? Professional development somehow. And I know a lot of people talk about this, like when are we supposed to have time, right? It's not like the world slows down just because we want to go to a conference, right? Or we want to take a half day to go to a presentation or anything like that. So I do think it's helpful for you to kind of think about where are you at? What are some areas that you would like to grow in? Are there any professional developments that are kind of coming up in those areas, for those topics? And then you got to put them on the calendar, right? You're never going to magically have, 3 days available to go to a conference. You got to put it on your calendar and work around it, right? So I know I already have a bunch of different conferences and professional development things that I want to be attending. I am also one of those people that love to sign up for things that have a replay, right? So a lot of times I know, like signing up for something, I'm like, I'm not available at that time and day. But if you give me a good replay, what I immediately do when I sign up for it is I will put aside time on my calendar, right? Because otherwise, how many times have I signed up for something and said I would watch the replay and then the expiration date occurred, right? They're like, oh, we only gave you access for 30 days or something like that. So I know if I'm going to sign up in that kind of way, I gotta put it on my calendar, right? Have to put it on the calendar. Another great way for all of you who are on social media, which is how you're watching this live right now, I love to follow some of these groups on social media. So again, I like to talk a lot about learning disabilities. And so if you look at my social media feed, you're going to see fun school psychology things. You're going to see some fun cat videos and, anything about any true crime podcasts that are coming up. But You also see information from some of the dyslexia associations. And because I'm already on social, it's a great place for me to be like, oh, look, there's something new going on. Look, there's a new resource all of a sudden. And it's easy for me to just save that, email it to myself, whatever I want to do to follow up with that. But it's interesting how often I'm coming across things on social, either that other school psychologists have posted and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that resource was now available. And I just find that's a really helpful way, right? So if you are like, when am I supposed to find time? Most of us are already finding time for social. And so being able to sign up in that kind of way I think, be really helpful. And then the last quick tip would be any sort of newsletters that come up. Because again, even if I don't have time to read the newsletter right away, I do put them in a special email folder of, what do they call that? Oh, there's a term for it, where you're procrastinating, but you're doing other good things during that time. Right? Productive procrastination, right? So I don't want to be doing maybe what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm like, well, I don't want to be completely off task. Let's just do some productive procrastination, which is let's catch up on some newsletters, right? And if you are listening to this and you don't already get my newsletter and you are interested in that, if you just go to my website, jennyponzuric.com, scroll on down on our front page, there's a place for you to sign up for our newsletter. We send one out usually about once a week, and we try and just share different resources. So as I'm finding new resources on social, or I'm reading my newsletters and I'm like, oh, that seems like a cool website to look at for anxiety, or I didn't know they were doing a free training on this, then I try and push that out to everyone who gets my newsletter. And that's another way to kind of get some of that information. So again, if you're not already part of my newsletter group, feel free to join. Just go over to my website. I do not sell your information to anybody. And we just try and send you some information, trying to just give you guys some different resources, since everyone is so very busy right now. So those are my quick tips for you today. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day, and I will see you all soon. Bye, everyone.